So this one's going to be partially a cautionary tale to some extent as to how you can lose to an eco and things you don't want to be doing against an eco, and partially props to Big for finding the openings, because what the pistol players are often trying to do is find an opening, find a gap in the defense, and what the CTs are trying to do is not leave any gaps in the defense, especially for pistols to find nice shots. But sometimes that's inevitable. What you really don't want to be doing is leaving gaps in the defense that pistols don't have to hit nice shots to win a round, and that is exactly what happens here. It wouldn't surprise me, based on watching this entire game, some of the plays that Virtus Pro were going for were honestly a little bit befuddling. Just a few of the rounds just didn't really make all that much sense to me. So it wouldn't surprise me if these teams really knew each other's playstyle quite well, because, you know, if they did, that would explain why some things are a little bit weird in this game, and that might even explain why Big goes for this play they go for here. But you're going to notice that the one thing I'll mention leading up to it is that Virtus Pro got a bomb plant, or Virtus Pro got a defuse in the previous round, which means that Big could be going for the buy that should not fucking exist in the game, with, you know, a couple of Kriegs, or they could even be going for 5 Galils or whatever. And so both of these setups are pretty well crafted to deal with both, you know, both pistols and rifles. If they're going for pistols, playing aggressive down banana kind of takes the fight to the pistols, although it's a bit risky. As you clear out this angle, you have more utility than your opponents, which means you can push them out of those angles and then put them in spots where they can't feel comfortable in the round. And especially if they have pistol, no armor, they're not in a great spot. And if they have Kriegs, they probably don't have too much utility, and they don't really want to be taking close range engagements against the MP9, which is frankly overpowered. If they have rifles, again, they may want to be going up arch, because you get a lot of long range angles where you can try and, you know, go and take this long range angle towards B, or you can wrap towards A and take this long range angle as well, where you're keeping a Krieg in hand and the pistols can close the distance fairly effectively. So you don't, you know, arch side is a fairly common play with rifles. Also, popping arch side and getting control of arch and CT, pretty obviously a fairly common play with pistols as well. So, you know, they're trying to deal with these plays. It's not perfectly balanced, but sometimes in order to deal with situations, you can't be perfectly balanced. And they're spotting out here, but what Big does so well is they contest banana. So they begin contesting banana, and that pulls Jame. Now Jame wants to rotate over to B, because if the banana players die, he needs to be there to support. Otherwise, at the very least, they're going to get a bomb plant, and he can try and lock down the long range angle potentially, or any of the long range angles, because he's got a FAMAS on the rotate, and those players had MP9s. So Jame wants to flash, re-peek middle, or at least flash for Sanji to peek middle, and then rotate off. So Jame pulls out a flash, but Sanji smokes off arch side as Jame rotates away. Now, smoking off arch side is the... I have a slight issue with this one. The idea is basically to not allow pistols to potentially close the distance, and kind of hit out on him, or take a straight up aim duel, because, you know, if Jame rotates off and Sanji dies, then we're in the same situation we are in now, except you're down a player. So kind of trying to avoid a potential aim duel there. But unfortunately, as soon as that smoke falls, these guys are already hitting up truck. And, you know, this play can work pretty well even without this double arch, because, you know, the arch side player is going to be tempted to rotate as soon as that contact is made, and maybe the truck side player is falling back into the bomb site, or, you know, a site player is going moto to cover, and you can try and catch that opening. But unfortunately, Virtus Pro make that opening as big as physically possible. Sanji smokes himself off, doesn't rotate back around to the bomb site. He stays behind a smoke on arch side, and they catch Quicker out in the middle of the open, and they get the kill. Now, unfortunately for Big, the control on banana goes notably worse than they would have hoped, and they do end up losing the round. But you can see how the opening that was left there from Virtus Pro allowed a single frag to get Xantarez and Tabson into the bomb site with a free bomb plant, and nearly win the round. Certainly possible to win the round in that situation if the banana play had gone a little bit better. So, again, partially, you know, credit to Big for actually, you know, exploiting the gap in the defense there, finding a timing and, you know, making it work. And Virtus Pro leaving a bit of a gap there. Sometimes teams leave gaps in their defense, and it goes pretty poorly. But your goal as a CT side is to try to prevent that. And that was a pretty big gap, left definitely an opening for Big to attack. It makes most sense if Sanji is assuming that there's like 5 players towards Banana. So it's possible there's some communication there where they'd called more hectically that there was players contesting Banana, and Virtus Pro thought there was like 4 or 5 players there, in which case that play wouldn't have been all too poor or all too much of a gap left open if only one player can attack. But at the end of the day, we don't know their comms, and that didn't look too pretty. But it looked very nice from Big's POV.